Hello everyone. Today let us discuss about what is yoga. Yoga is a union of body and breath. So this is the first point. So the body is related to the asanas, the movements, the exercises that we do, and the breath is related to our way of breathing or the breathing exercises and the breathing that we do while doing the asanas. So when the body and the breath unites, then that is a form of yoga. And the second meaning is yoga is a union of mind and awareness. So mind is where we think different thoughts. And by being aware of those thoughts, we can bring all those thoughts to a calm state. And that we can achieve by doing meditation. And also, mind is the place where, so many thoughts keeps going around. And first of all, we need to be aware of some thought that we need to do. For example, taking care of our health is an awareness. But if we are not aware of taking care of our health, then we wouldn't be looking out for solutions to take care of our health. We would be living in ignorance. So, this is what is about mind and awareness. Now, the third one is yoga is a union of action and dharma. So, action relates to what action we do, and then dharma relates to whether it's the right action, whether the action is aligned or not. So, for example, let's take a very simple action that we all do every day, cooking. So, when we cook with a service mentality or a seva mentality or a gratitude or a giving mentality, when we cook our meals with the idea of serving for our family, then that action is aligned with the dharma. So, it's an aligned action. So when we cook in that way, then we don't get tired, we don't get exhausted. In fact, after doing that action, we feel very energetic. Whereas take the other side. If we do the action of cooking with frustration, with irritation, or in a hurry, okay, within 30 minutes, I want to finish cooking and then I need to do something else. Or if you cook with anger, or if you cook with, irritability, uh, so whenever you cook in that kind of state, or you cook with like, oh my God, why should I even cook? I really don't feel like cooking. So when you cook with this kind of a mentality, then it is not aligned with dharma. So this action is not an aligned action. So when we do unaligned actions, then it creates so much of negative energies. So that action is in fact harmful. In what way? Like we get tired, we get exhausted, we feel even worse after we finish cooking. But you don't feel that way when you do cooking as an aligned action. Like when you cook with the um, mentality of service, when you cook in calmness, when you cook in peacefulness, irrespective of whatever you cook, the food itself become nutritious and positive. So everybody who eats such a kind of a food will naturally inhale that calmness, peacefulness, and the positive energy into them. So this is an example of action and dharma. And the last one is yoga is the union of self and the higher self. So self is our conscious mind, okay? And the higher self is the superconscious mind or the universal mind. So that is more of a quite higher concept. So that is the final level, you could say. So just to summarize, what is yoga? Yoga is not just doing some exercises, or it's not just like stretching or flexibility. In fact, people have a wrong notion. Most of the people don't come into yoga thinking that they need to be flexible to do yoga, but that's not the case. That's a very wrong idea, or I would say it as an ignorant. If you do yoga, you will become flexible. So, flexibility is a benefit that you gain by doing yoga. So it doesn't mean that you have to be flexible and you have to be able to do various back bends or the various fancy poses. It's not like that. Okay. Yoga is not about doing fancy poses. It's about the 4 points that I mentioned. It's about the body and the breath, the mind and the awareness, and the action and dharma, and the self and higher self. So it's basically a way of living your life. So, as opposed to people think yoga is exercise, no, it's a way of living your life. I think this is the understanding that we need to have about yoga. So, when let's look at the first point, that is the body and the breath. So, body and the breath, when they unite, when the body and the breath unites, what happens? The nervous system regulates. So you feel calm and composed and you feel good. You know, the feeling good and feeling happy, vibrant, calmness, peacefulness, that happens. That is the first benefit of the union of the body and the breath. And the second benefit is that the mind calms down or slows down. You know, when the mind is so fast, it's like moving on like next, 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 next. It just slows down. The mind slows down to calmness and peacefulness. And the third advantage is the awareness deepens. So when the breath and the body unite, so when you do a movement and the movement has a breath, you know, the inhale and exhale breath, then the awareness deepens. You're able to focus on whatever that feeling or whatever that you're doing in a more deeper way. And another advantage of this is the movement itself becomes meditation. So, for example, when you do a pose with the inhale and exhale, and when you focus on the breath, that particular movement, at that moment when you're doing that asana, it's equivalent to meditating. That's how your mind would feel. You won't have any thoughts running in your mind. You would feel the calmness, peacefulness, the meditative state while doing that asana itself. So that is the power of the body and the breath uniting. And so that's all for today. Hope you had good insights about the meaning of yoga. See you next time. Bye.